Welcome back. It's time once again for another episode of Health Talks with Dr. Trinh. The one show, maybe the only show that shows you the path to a healthier life. One conversation at a time. Or in today's case, two conversations at a time here. We've got two guests with us here and our old friend Elaine Blanchette. So why don't we let Elaine introduce the round table here?
Yes, and it's a pleasure. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Dr. Trinh. We have really special guests this morning. We have Joel Carden. Joel Carden is with a company called Phyto-Zoll, and they have a hemp product that is called Phyto-Zoll or Phyto-Zoll. How do you call it, Joel?
Phyto-Zoll.
Phyto-Zoll, there you go. And then we have with us Vasily Kotlov. Vasily has a company called Impact Natural. He's one of the co-founders as well of Impact Natural. And they have a series of products, one of which is Restore. And I say one of which because both Vasily and Joel have products that have been certified by the physicians CBD Council, so they now have this certification and have the seal that is Physicians Quality Verified. And this is what we're going to talk about today, Paul.
Fascinating stuff here. Let's go around and talk to our, give each guest a chance to tell us what it is. We'll start with Joel first. What is it that you created?
Sure. We have a topical pain relief product. In this industry, we have to be careful what we say, but it supports the joints and muscles and it is localized. So it is an organic hemp-derived CBD product, and it is in a pump, a medical grade pump that when applied, there's 100 applications within each bottle. One application is will cover an area of about 4 by 4. One of the challenges of this business, and I think this is a lot of why Helene and Dr. Trinh are here, is that the CBD cannabinoidal business is a bit of a wild west, if not monitored and evaluated with some level of efficacy and make sure that the products do what they say they do and don't contain bad stuff. And that's why we're very excited to be partnering with them.
And what does it mean to have somebody, an outside agency like this, confirm what you already knew to be true, that there is nothing bad in this thing, that it is what it says it is? And how frustrating is it that so many others don't have this stuff verified, and in many cases don't really deliver what they're promising?
First of all, I think what our job is, the collective group here on this call, is that we continue to educate people that there are different levels and different standards, and we hold ourselves to the highest standard, and that's what this group is about. It's frustrating that people do have products that aren't tested, aren't validated. They make claims, and many claims are inaccurate. I mean, our secret is the delivery system that is attached to our product, and it allows the product. It's been scientifically tested in labs. There's basically 3 labs in the country that would be well recognized by the pharmaceutical industry, and we've tested in 2 of the 3 labs on our product and made sure. The idea is how much of the active ingredient, in this case, hemp-derived CBD, gets through the layers of skin and gets down to the area of need, to the joints and muscles where it can do its work.
And I think that's an important part, because the 3 founders come, maybe you can talk about that, but the 3 founders come from the pharmaceutical industry, right, Joel, and the cosmetic industry.
Yeah.
The combination, right.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of people have CBD products and they say, well, we've got 1,000 milligrams, but if the milligrams don't get to the point of need, it doesn't matter if you have 10,000 or 100. Our emphasis has been from the very start to create a delivery system that gets the product, that gets the active ingredient to the area of need so it can do its work.
So that's the secret sauce, in other words.
Yes.
So let's talk about that for one more minute, then we'll give Vasily a similar moment in time here to talk about what he's doing. We've talked about this a lot on this show. It isn't just the problem in the cannabinoid industry, as you call it, isn't just getting people to accept it and try it. It's getting people to believe that it works. And so often it's a combination of factors. The product doesn't really have what it said it had in there. And therefore you say, well, this didn't work. I tried it, didn't work. Well, it didn't really deliver what it was, because it didn't have the right amounts. It didn't have the right balance. It didn't have other things in there. And then the other problem is, how do you deliver this to the point of need? People talk about smoking it. They talk about ingesting it. They talk about under the tongue. You're doing a topical cream. Why that one? How does that work? And why does that work better?
We have, as Helene mentioned, we have a pharmacist who helped to formulate the product, and we knew that we had a delivery system that would work really well for topicals. Pain relief is one of the big areas of what people experience. And so we wanted to create a product that could penetrate the layers of skin and get to the area of need. And we knew that we had that. We have nothing against ingestibles or any other type of product. We just were looking for a specific localized product that would take care of the area of need, whether it's the knees, elbows, back of the neck, lower back, whatever. We designed our product to meet those needs.
And clearly that's one of the big reasons people have gone to CBD in general. I've got aches, I've got pains, I've got inflammation somewhere, and this is an effective way, or it's been viewed as an effective way to treat that. Okay, well, let's move over to Vasily, who's been very patient listening to your explanation. What is it you do, sir? And tell us about your product.
Well, hi, everybody. So actually, my job is now very easy. Joel exactly described what we're doing. It's just we're doing it orally, so to speak.
Exactly. It's very interesting. Yes.
Yeah, we all the founders are coming from pharmaceutical industry, and we're bringing the best formulation technology from the pharmaceutical space for oral delivery into the cannabinoid space. Because cannabinoids are not unique in the sense that, they are actually quite simple substances to deliver but you have to take into account that they're lipid soluble. Yeah. So that they're fat soluble, they're not water soluble. You can't make them water soluble. So anybody that says I have a water soluble CBD, it's a marketing gimmick because you just can't make it water soluble. It's impossible. If you make it water soluble, it's not CBD anymore. So you have to treat it as a lipid soluble molecule, and as such, actually, our body has a unique way to transport, those type of compounds, because quite simply speaking, those type of compounds, either it is CBD or let's say it is vitamin D or curcumin. They just can't travel in the blood on their own. They need to have a carrier because they don't dissolve in water. And as such, the carrier could be typically it ends up being albumin. And I think a lot of people heard the word albumin, but it's it's a protein.
I haven't. I don't know what that is. So you got to explain that.
It's a protein that our body makes. And it's used for multiple purposes. As one of the purposes is to help to transport insoluble components. So like CBD or some drugs. In fact, actually, some of the injectable drugs are formulated with albumin as a carrier, but it's an injectable, you know. And so there is a complex machinery that we have, as well as all other mammalian creatures have, that routes from the intestine the ingredients around our body. And so what we focused is how can we get better, more efficient at routing those ingredients. And the problem with albumin is that once an ingredient gets paired with albumin, it goes straight into the liver. And what happens in the liver when CBD gets in? Well, majority of CBD, if the liver is not too busy with other things, is going to get converted into inactive metabolite and excreted. So it's quite simply speaking, when you use products that are formulated with MCT, you are guaranteed for that majority of that product to go down the drain.
So I think we need to pause on this because there's so much to unpack from this comment.
Absolutely. Let's bring in Dr. Trinh, who's sitting there in a very Zen-like state, taking all this in.
I thought it was more like a ghost state, right?
He looks like a Zen master. He's just absorbing this and doing it. We talked about this a little bit before. Break down some of this for us scientifically, Dr. Trinh, because, again, we're back to the confusion of how the body absorbs some of these compounds. We've now got 2 companies that you guys have tested that prove they got what they say they got. This is not this has been verified.
This is not a 7-Eleven product.
The 7-Eleven product, exactly. So that alone sets them apart from the pack here. Now we're talking about different delivery systems for different uses and probably different symptoms and whatnot here. One's a topical, one's an ingestible. And even when we get to the ingestible, now we're down the rabbit hole or down the stomach of trying to figure out how this ingestible moves through your body and whether it passes through. And we talked about this before with vitamins. My fear is everybody should take multivitamins and doses of vitamin C. And you said too many people, we have the most expensive piss in the world. Sorry to make it that blunt. But we've got you know, we're passing,
I will agree with that.
We're passing too much stuff right out of the system here. Talk about that a little bit here.
Yeah, I think both these companies and their products are amazing. I've actually had a chance to check out both products, and what really boils down when you're asking for the proof in the pudding, right? Is however the mechanisms work. And there is good science for both mechanisms, right? And how they work. It really boils down to the end user. What does the patient say? You know, great absorption, mechanism of action, better bioavailability. We want to know really at the end, what does our end user say? Does it actually help them with the indication that they're using it for with that? But the fact that you have science behind the products and it's backed by research and it's backed by data, that gives a lot of credibility, way above the thousands of other products out there that has good marketing but no science, right? There's a difference between good science and good marketing. Some have very good marketing and zero science, and some have really good science but poor marketing. The patient only know what the marketing, right? They don't know the science. But these guys here with us, great science is what I have to say, and they're scientists, right? And so they have what it takes.
Why did you choose? We asked Joel this question. We'll ask Vasily the same question. Why go through this effort to have an independent body verify what you've got? Is it important to convince people to feel confident in what it is? Is it important to differentiate yourself from the others who don't do this? and talk a little bit about that. Why choose to do this? Why get the CBD?
Why choose the certification from
Yeah.
the PCC you're talking about?
Yeah, why go through any independent certification? You know what you have. You believe in what you have. Why is it important to have other verification for your product? For Vasily.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, we actually have a long-term vision for what we're creating, and we purposefully actually, to be honest, decided to invest all of our money into science rather than marketing, and it was a decision that we made because we saw such a you know a field that has not been fully explored by people. And we believe in our approach, and we believe that we can really deliver a lot of, deliver new options to people that don't exist today. So it was a conscious decision, and you know, quite frankly, right now, the marketing, is paralyzed in the United States by the fact that the it's not federally recognized. So FDA on the sidelines, waiting for something else to happen. And so, how do you survive in this world if it wouldn't be for organizations, like Helen and Dr. Trinh are building, and without this certification, it's the only way for us to really, get our message out that there are companies out there that are investing to the science, that have went through the full certification, have traced every step of the supply chain, inspected and certified every component of the supply chain, did multiple testing, did stability studies, and how do you explain it to a consumer in a simple message? It's impossible.
And let's go back to Joel here, the same kind of question here. It must be frustrating. Both of you come from pharmaceutical backgrounds. You're science-based.
The epitome of advertising, right?
Yeah, and then I could go down to the market right now and pull a half a dozen products off of Mother's Market or CVS or something that the packaging sounds great. It's appealing, but I'll bet if I opened it up and really tested it, it might not even be giving me what it claims to give me, or it might be giving other things that it doesn't mention there that I wouldn't be so happy, pesticides or heavy metals or other sorts of things in there. And so you're trying to break through the message that these CBD products work, and too many people are trying them and getting nothing back because they don't know what they're buying. That must be frustrating. Back to Joel on that. He's got you're muted.
You're on mute, Joel.
He's so upset he muted himself here. He didn't want to hear all the 4-letter words that were going to come out of his mouth here.
Is that better?
That's better, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with what you're saying. I agree 100% with what Vasily is saying. We have also put our money into the scientific aspect of the product rather than the marketing. I mean, we've done a little marketing, but we're in a deadlock as far as being able to get a message out. And so for us, the idea that this is medically endorsed or doctor endorsed, I think that has a lot of meaning. And since we are so limited to what we can say and how we can market it, I think that's one of the best endorsements we can acquire for now.
Is it the industry's hope then? This is seems like a counterintuitive question. Nobody wants more government regulation on anything ever. I don't care if you're liberal or conservative or whatever. We're always saying, please, and let's police ourselves. Whether it's the movie business and ratings, or whether it's the FDA and everything else, Federal Trade Commission. Yet, if they did step in at some point and set clear guidelines that allowed you to advertise more than hey, it sort of helps. I can't tell you how or why, but try it. It might help you here. would that help your cause if there really was some sort of federal guidelines or regulations on
I
oversight?
think it could absolutely help. And if you look at the pharmaceutical industry, there are regulations, there are guidelines, there are expectations, and why wouldn't you put those same qualifications on something that what we're trying to bring to market and offer the consumers? One of the biggest fears that I think both myself and our company and Vasily's company would have is that exactly what you described, is that people try products, they don't work, and it gives our industry a bad name.
Right.
Exactly. It gives the industry a bad rap. And that's what we wanted to do, is elevate the good brands above the crowded market. Because even if you all could advertise as much as you want, you would then be stuck into who has the biggest budget of advertising, right? And then who is reaching out, the customers or the consumers, is the ones with the deepest pockets. It still doesn't mean that it's the best products. It's just the ones that would have the deepest pockets that reach the consumers. So then again, how do you distinguish yourself from the crowded market? Because Paul, there's at least 25,000 different products on the market in the United States, if not more.
Right.
You have at least 8,000 companies that are making products here and there. So it becomes a dog eat dogs on the advertising once you are able to do. And again, the consumer only sees a pretty label.
Yeah.
And they see a pretty label and they see promises of potency on the label. But the reality of things is what we are trying to bring to the surface. Of all the pretty labels, which one are true, which one are real, which one have been, really tested properly, that the certificate of analysis from the laboratory has not been tampered with, that it's all true facts, and that the consumer can trust that. That's the important part.
I love that term, laborati. It sounds
Laboratoire.
Like it sounds like
I can say it in French too,
It sounds like the Illuminati. It sounds like
yes,
a giant
there
conspiracy of people who are misleading, whatever. So can I? This is a really hard question. Maybe this is too hard to answer here, but I'll start with Vasily and I'll ask both of you. So why even get into this?
It's a good question.
Why
actually
go down this path with so many difficulties? You've got, I won't say charlatan products, but you've got less than promised products out there. You've got you're handcuffed when it comes to marketing here, and yet you deeply believe in your product and your ability. Why not wait? Why not sit on the sidelines and wait till things clarify? Why now? Why jump in, Vasily?
It is a difficult question.
All his partners are asking, saying, "Why did we do this? We should have waited 10 years till it all cleared up here."
But I can tell you from our perspective, we made a true scientific discovery, and that's what kept us going. We've uncovered something that has not been used by anybody. It has been hypothesized, have been talked about, have been experimented with, but have not been used. And that's what keeps us going, because we just see, because we're actually working on next, second and third generation, of our product. And we've done a study with University of Cincinnati. We're talking to outside companies, and that's what keeps us going. It's just the science is so fascinating, and we just see that it could bring so many benefits to people, and that's what keeps us going.
It's the belief in what you're doing and the science behind it here.
Exactly.
Joel, I'm assuming it's much the same with you, but any other insights? This is a difficult road to take. This is not an easy industry to break into.
Yeah, it's very similar story. we started off with the premise that there's a big opioid problem in the U.S. and people are looking for natural solutions wherever they can find them.
Amen.
And we absolutely know that we have a natural solution coupled with a scientifically proven delivery system that works. And so I think it's just a matter of time before things open up. And, you know, you say, why did you get into it? I would be lying if I said we didn't ask that question of ourselves sometimes. But the reality of it is we know we have something that works.
Right.
We have something that people need. And we believe that in the long game here.
I think that's important because I think too many people that I come across in the cannabis industry in general are Wild West prospectors. They're just riding in, hoping to find a vein of gold, and they have no real passion. They have no real background in this. They might have been selling shoes last week or something. I mean, they're just sort of ride in and see an opportunity there. And I think those are the hit and run artists that confuse and defuse the message for so many here. What do you think,
Well,
Elaine?
if they're looking for immediate gold, they're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, I think you've got to be. This is a long game we're playing here. Is it getting any easier out there, Elaine? I see too many reports about, the struggles that legal cannabis shops are having versus the illegal ones, and some of them are saying, "The heck with it! I'm not going to try and comply with all the disclosures and disclaimers. I'll just go back to doing it the old-fashioned way here."
Yeah. I think that the industry, so we're talking about now the cannabis industry, which is the marijuana with the THC components to it, whereby both of the products that we have here are made from hemp, which is another branch of the family of the cannabis. But in California, but I think that the rule has changed lately. But in California, you don't even sell hemp-derived products and cannabis, marijuana-derived products in the same facility. It has to be separate facilities.
Okay.
So therefore, you don't find them together. But if I take the entire industry, I believe that because it seemed to be like a gold rush, everybody wanted to be in it. And it's the same thing as when the .com happened, where everybody was creating technology. There's always a burst, like the crypto is happening. There was always like a burst and then a rebirth of the real ones that happens. I think that, we're reaching that point where there's so much on the market. Everybody was trying to get into it and everybody invested into it, and then they realize, especially in the cannabis THC industry, where the taxes are so high that no one's making money from it. There's no profit in it. So a lot of companies are, selling, or agriculture. There's too many grows, so a lot of the farms are being sold for almost nothing. There's a lot of things that are happening. They have to burn their crops because there's not a lot of stores to be able to distribute the product to.
Right.
And in the hemp industry, we have so many products, which it goes from someone doing it in their kitchen to someone who's just putting a label on another product, which we call the white label. So you have a lot of manufacturers. So then the market is flooded. And again, we're back to, it's just a pretty label. And how do we distinguish the real pharmaceutical background kind of companies and the scientific companies and the companies that have formulated things that really work well in a overly crowded market? And that's the reason why, one of the reasons why we wanted consumer safety, but we also wanted to make sure that the industry is not going to be discredited overall because there's so many bad products or, products that are with no efficacy. By having the seal for consumer safety, you also make sure that consumers buy products that have efficacy and that resolve the problems, which is back to what Dr. Trinh said earlier. What's the end consumer's opinion. Did it work or didn't it didn't work, right? So that's important.
Why
But
has
one
it-
more thing that I would like to unpack, because I think that Dr. Trinh perhaps skipped over the answer, so I'm going to bring it back to you, Dr. Trinh, and it's the difference between ingesting a product versus using it topical. And there's so many different answers of the reason why you would take it topical versus ingesting, or so why don't you just cover that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So topical treatment typically treats topical localized pain, right? So my knee hurts and I want to just treat my knee topical, my lower back or specific areas, right? So that makes sense for that reason. But if your entire body hurts from fibromyalgia and you don't know where to rub that lotion, right? Then you're looking at more of a systemic treatment, which requires, to ingest something, go through the bloodstream, and treat systemically. Or if you're addressing symptoms that originate up here, anxiety, insomnia, right? Brain-related symptoms, typically a topical, lotion probably would not help as much due to a lower bioavailability to the blood, right? As opposed to ingesting it. The other difference is that when you ingest something, it takes longer to take effect. Because it needs to be digested in your stomach, it needs to go to your liver to be processed and all that. And so you're not going to get results within minutes. So typically those results you'll start feeling within 2 hours or so, right? And typically through ingestion, the effects last longer than perhaps a topical treatment. So the duration of effect typically is longer. Just in general, it's longer for something that's ingestible. Although the start time where you start to feel the effects takes much longer as well. Right? It takes probably 2 hours or so before you start feeling the effects. So slower start, but longer acting when you're ingesting. Ingesting again is more for generalized problems, mind problems, whereas for topical, it makes more sense if you have a localized area that needs to be treated. Then it makes more sense to treat locally with something topical.
That is the best explanation I've ever heard. I was trying to dance around that and understand, because I didn't want to sound stupid and say, are you True Products competing for the exact same result?
Pain space.
There you go. The exact same pain space. Or are they complementary or different sorts of things? And this idea of, is it a systemic problem or is it a localized problem, makes a lot of sense to me. Do I need immediate relief because of my sore back, sore knee, or am I got a sore body and I need more systemic release and a different kind of product to do that? Do you guys? I think you guys should take that, both of you, and put that in your products here, because that would be another question I never thought of. I'm standing at CVS or wherever I get these things, and I'm looking at Amazon. I'm trying to decide, what do I need?
You need advice, because you shouldn't be on Amazon if you're trying to buy a product like this. That would be my first thing.
Okay, good.
Because Amazon does not allow CBD. So any products that is on Amazon that people buy being CBD, it's falsely labeled.
I didn't know that. I had no idea.
So that's the first thing that I will say. So you first of all, you can go to the physicianscbdcouncil.com. We have qualified products that are there. They're listed, and you can find the products there. We don't get any money from that, but we want to make sure the consumers can find where they are, these great brands. Right. You can click on the product, and it gets you to the website of Vasily or the website of Joel. So and all of the other products that are there. So that's the first thing I will tell you on that one.
And I think that's a critical point. That's something else I hadn't thought about. Where do I get curated information? Who collects and directs me to? And because I'll get very specific. My wife has tried various CBD products or other herbal products. She believes in alternatives. She hates taking a pill and a pharmaceutical. Sorry, you guys from the pharmaceutical industry here, but she's frightened to do that. Even when she gets a prescription, she takes it half or whatever. And I say, why? I don't know. I just don't trust it. I don't want to get hooked on it. I don't want to have side effects. I don't know all this stuff here. I'd much rather find a natural alternative. So she goes to a place like Mother's Market here in Southern California. And who advises her? Who advises her is some kid in the aisle who's 18 who walks her up and down and says, well, this one, dude, this one really works good. And I really like this one. I've heard this one say, and she takes this kid's advice. He's not a doctor. He's not anything. He's just the sales clerk that's been assigned to that aisle. And maybe he has some kind of interest in the space. That's why he works in this place in the first place. Or maybe he just is the only job he could get. But he's giving her advice on which product to choose.
Yeah.
And that frightens the hell out of me. That just seems like the blind leading the blind here.
It frightens the hell out of us too. And the first question is, are they taking other medications, right? Dr. Trinh would right away jump in and saying, oh my God, what kind of medications are you taking? Because you would need to know when to take your CBD if that's the case, right? So that you don't interact or occupy the space of your liver with CBD when it should be actually processing your Coumadin or your other blood thinner, right? So you want to be able to, and I want to jump to something with Vasily, because I think you mentioned something, Vasily, that I would like to get a little bit more into. Is you said if it's processed through your if it's filtered through your liver, there's a large part of the CBD benefit and compound that would actually be, digested and not necessarily processed for its therapeutic benefit that it has. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Yeah. And why would your product be different once it goes through the liver? Does it cheat the liver?
As I said, we have our human physiology has essentially two routes how ingredients get channeled from the intestine around the body, and one of the channels is actually goes through and so I mentioned albumin, so it's a protein. So there is another entity called lipoprotein. And that lipoprotein, that most people are familiar with lipoproteins that are LDL, HDL, and there are lipoproteins, but they're made in the liver. But there is one lipoprotein that is made in the intestine, and it's called chylomicron. And so if CBD gets packaged into the chylomicron, then it goes different route. And doesn't go into the liver and makes a circle around the body before going to the liver. So it has a chance to actually getting used around the body.
So you bypass the liver for one tour.
One tour, right?
Let's do a spin before we get into the liver and get processed. So because we know that the intestine is where, in the guts, where all the vitamins are absorbed and all of the ingredients are absorbed, put into the bloodstream, then bypass. I'm getting good, Dr. Trinh, don't you think? By listening to you now, I can speak your language, right? So then you've succeeded to create a formula that does that.
Yeah. So what's fascinating about this is that there's so much chemistry that goes into creating formulations in the pharmaceutical industry, all kinds of trickery, and it's it's not really natural. A lot of those ingredients are synthesized chemically somehow, created. Here, the human body has a system that is designed to transport those type of molecules. And the trick is actually to help your body to do what it's supposed to do. You know? And that's what our formulation is about. We're using absolutely 100% natural ingredients, and just enabling our body to do what it's designed to do, just better.
Therefore, the name Impact Natural.
Impact Naturals, yeah. So that's and I think Joel is probably doing exactly the same, just with the skin.
Yeah.
Because the skin has mechanism as well, and you can use that mechanism, and essentially, like most people that are trying to go through brick wall, you use spaces in between bricks to penetrate the skin. Yeah, Joel.
That's really good. Good segue. Thank you on that.
Well, let's let Joel jump into that here. What are you doing? What unique aspects of the body's skin here are you taking advantage of to get through that brick wall, that outer layer of protection that otherwise I spray it on and it all just brushes off here?
Yeah, I'll add to what Vasily said in that we use natural. All of our incipients, the delivery system, are made up of FDA approved food grade ingredients. So we err on the side of being natural, as Vasily is talking. And the delivery system is, as Helene said at the beginning, it's our secret sauce. But we found a formulation that allows the CBD, the organic hemp-derived CBD, to get through the skin to the area of need. And it's a unique formulation. It's just like Coca-Cola has a secret sauce, we have a secret sauce. And
I see there's a box in the back. You have it locked up behind you there. There's a little safe, and you have it just like Coca-Cola has the original formula written down somewhere here.
Yeah, but it has it is fascinating. I mean, I've tried so many different CBD products because I get to test a lot of them, and my go-to for the topical is definitely the Phyto-Zoll, because first of all, it has this immediate penetration. I think that within 10 minutes you start getting the relief, and it lasts quite a long time. It could be anywhere between 2 to 4 hours of relief that you get in. And I haven't been able to get anything like that before, in such a dependable way too. I mean, it's not like a fluke that once in a while you feel better because you would have the same effect with a placebo. Is really an incredible product. So and the same thing with Impact Natural is an incredible product. So to me, it was really great that these are the companies that rose their hands to say we would like to be certified, because there's certainly already companies that should be highlighted, and some of the top companies.
How do you get, but for a place like, and I don't know that this really is the total mission of the Physician CBD Council, to go beyond certification and to investigate the product further.
Efficacy testing.
Yeah. Who gets into this? Gee, this one works better than that one works.
So efficacy testing is done with consumers. So we recruit 25, 30, depending of the study. We recruit a number of people that volunteer to be part of the study for the efficacy study. For it could be anywhere. Right now we're doing one for menstrual period cramps, so it's on 3 cycles of 3 months. But if it would be for a specific topical pain or something like that, it could be that it's on 1 month with 30 people or something like that. And it's all the data is they receive text on 3 times a day, and they answer questions. It could be 2 times a day as well, but they answer questions. All the data is captured, and we're able to really make a significant report on the efficacy of the product itself, and be able to see if it is consistent, if it is consistent across a number of people of all ages, of different backgrounds, and is it consistent as a result, and be able to provide that to the brands as well.
So that's something you guys do too at the Physician CBD?
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, we do that as well.
I didn't know that. Because my question is to both of these guys: if the consumer doesn't know you exist because marketing is limited and difficult and expensive, and if you're fortunate enough to get your product into some sort of mass merchant retailer. I don't know if you want to do that, but I assume everybody's goal is to get into some sort of mass merchant retailer. How do you get that message down to the aisle? How do you get that message across in a package where you can't really say much definitively? And how do you get that information to the hands of that 18-year-old sales clerk who is guiding my wife which one of these many topicals or which one of these many ingestibles she should consider using?
I'd like to get a shot on this one at first, and then the others can answer. When you often have biased people when they bring the information to your wife.
Right.
Is, if it's the girl who sells the product at the at the farmer's market, it's her product that she's probably selling, so therefore she's going to, push her product.
Exactly.
The same way as the one that would give a distributor would give their product. The council, the Physicians CBD Council, is absolutely neutral. We do not sell product. We do not benefit from the sale of products of anybody. All we do is really put them through a test and a certification process that say they have been verified, they are squeaky clean, if I could say, and they have the potency that they said, and what's on the label is true, and they are great product that deserves to bear the label of the Quality Physicians verified product. And the consumer can trust that we're not selling any of these products. We don't have a bias. We could have 100 products that are certified, and we're not giving a preference to one to another, from one to another. I can personally like one better than another, but that's Hélène Blanchette that likes this product better than another. But the Physicians Cannabinoid Council or CBD Council is not biased in any way.
So let's start with Joel. I know it's a tough question to ask, and I'll sort of reframe it, but how do you got multiple messages you got to get out to people. This is a natural alternative. This has been certified. It is what it claims to be in terms of ingredients and whatnot. You've got a pharmaceutical background, a science background. You've got a stellar manufacturing process. I'm assuming you're not just white label sticking it on something else that came from China that nobody's ever figured out what's in there. You go through all these different messages, and at the end of the day, you've got to sell people that you've got a different formulation that will, as you say, your secret sauce that will penetrate the skin and deliver what it promises to deliver. And Vasily has the same challenge here. How do you get that? All of those messages. We're real. We're a real alternative. We really have some science behind this, and we've got a real formula that works better than other topicals might. How do you get all those messages down to the aisle, down to the consumer?
I have an extensive background in retail and have dealt with the big box retailers from Walmart's to CVS's to Walgreens. And I got to be honest with you, in this environment where we're not really allowed to say what we want to say, and I think Vasily will agree with me, I have zero desire to be on a retail shelf in those big box stores because Helene has hinted at this and stated this, but who would you rather listen to, an 18-year-old in the aisle or a physician? And PCC gives us the credibility that
Right.
An 18-year-old in the aisle or a 30-year-old in the aisle doesn't have. And when you can't really advertise, we're limited so much on what we can say. And my attitude is I have no desire to be in a retail shop right now. I think we're kind of waiting for some things to open up, and I think they eventually will. But it's a tough challenge to say what we want to say and to get our message across. We've done the work. We're just having trouble communicating the work that we've done.
That last mile, as they call it in Amazon's delivery chain. How do you get that last foot? You've gone all this effort into your product, into science, into packaging, into presentation, into complying with the vague statements that you have to make, and yet at some point the consumer, you got to convey everything we've just conveyed in the last 40 minutes. Talk about that challenge, Vasily. And do you want similarly?
I would say one thing: avoid big box stores. Don't go there. Just so the game in the big box store is money. That's it.
Right.
That's how you get on the shelf. You pay money. There's you need to have a product that is decent, but that's about it. And you pay money, and you pay money by giving away your margin. So, and that's how Medterra got into 7-Eleven. They're not making money there; they're losing, but they got into 7-Eleven, and they can say, "Oh, I got into 7-Eleven."
Right.
So what? You're losing money by selling in 7-Eleven. So it's not the game about getting into the box store, unfortunately, even though we would love to do that. But it's just the system is not set up for that. And so for us, the only way is to partner with organizations like, the CBD Physician Council, and move that way. That's unfortunately is the reality. And so the consumers have to be very careful.
And I would wonder, when there's 20 products on a shelf, whether some clever rep for one of these products has come in and done a little song and dance act, or has given away some spiffs or whatever.
There's almost zero science when you go to dispensaries or so-called experts in the cannabis. They still tell you that there is a plant called marijuana. There is no marijuana plant.
No.
There's only plant. It's called sativa. That's it.
That's right. That's right.
There's no indica is a varietal. Sativa is a varietal. But it's the same plant. The only difference is how much THC versus how much CBD.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's one plant.
Yeah. And the reason why I mentioned marijuana earlier is because that's what the consumers understand. That the marijuana with the THC and the hemp but it is all the same plant. It's just variation of
Amazon sells hemp oil.
Yeah.
You know what this hemp oil is made of?
Seeds.
Seeds are GRAS FDA certified to be sold everywhere. They do not have cannabis in them at all. Zero cannabinoids.
Yes, but Vasily, a lot of brands that I have seen actually do have the CBD in it, but change their label to say that it's hemp oil made from seeds, which is a lie, and it's so that they can sell on Amazon in large quantities. Yeah. And that's where the consumers is really in not safe, because if it's a free for all. But I want to because we're a few minutes from concluding, and I don't want to, leave this space without Vasily and Joel being able to clearly indicate how to get the product. So if you want to, where can we buy this Phyto-Zoll? Joel, obviously I said it earlier, if you go to the physiciancbdcouncil.com, you will have a link to the product, but where else can we buy that?
Yes, we sell direct to consumers off of our website. It's Phyto-Zoll.com. You can get the link from the PCC, but that is how we sell product. I would add to what Vasily said, as far as big box stores, that their interest is really in minimizing their risk, in having you pay money up front to be on the shelf, and then they'll give a very short window if it doesn't start selling within a certain amount of time. And they're more interested in how much money they can collect up front to slotting fees, whatever, than they are in how much product they can sell.
Yeah, whether the product sell or not, they will have made their money from the start.
Yes, and so they have no risk, and companies like Facilities in Mind have 100% of the risk, and we can't say what we need to say to get the products in the
jump off the shelf.
Can you spell the website?
Yeah,
sure. It's PHYTOZOL.com.
All right. And Vasily, Impact Naturals, the products Restore and other products.
The Impact impact-naturals.com
Naturals with an S,
with an S.
impact dash or hyphen, depending of if you're naturals with an S.com, or you come to the Physicians CBD Council, COUNCIL.com, and they're all listed there under quality verified products.
Very interesting discussion. I wish we could take this and put it out all over the place, and we certainly will try, because in it really encapsulates the difficulties of marketing even a science-based product like yours in this Wild West structure that we have here, and all the difficulties in conveying the message, in getting it to the message to the consumer, and the consumer's confusion as to what do I take and when do I take it and how do I take it. All that just magnifies the problem here. But
well, Paul, your wish will be granted, because there's a new media platform called thepineapple.com, and the Physicians Cannabinoid Council will have a platform on it, and the podcasts will be there for everybody to see.
Because that's the kind of discussion I think people need. My wife would welcome this rather than trying to debate for 10 seconds with the kid in the aisle. She wouldn't know where to go find any of this other stuff here. And
so please tell your wife to subscribe to this podcast.
I will, absolutely. Thank you, guys. Take us out, Dr. Trinh.
Thank you so much, Vasily. Yeah. Joel, always a pleasure to see you. Dr. Trinh, always so valuable to have you with us, since I'm on your show instead of you being on mine. But thank you. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Take care.
Take care.
Well, there you have it. That's a really good reason why you got to tune in each and every time. You're going to hear health information you wouldn't hear anywhere else. Debates, discussions, and really a deep dive into the science behind the things that are all the questions we're asking these days here. Right here in Health Talks with Dr. Trinh, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.